My guest today is Robert Mitchell. Robert and I met in the City of Sacramento's Planning Academy, and I'm so excited to bring him on. Robert, I read through your bio, and I saw that you help homeowners turn unused space into income-generating ADUs, additional dwelling units. So, just super curious, how did you even get into that line of work?
Well, I wanted one for myself. I heard about them. I had this dream to build my own house, and ADUs seemed like the best way to go about that because I didn't have to go searching for a new piece of property or or think of the big, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. It was just I just want something small. I want something for myself. Where can I, do that? Oh, the backyard. Great. So it opened a lot of doors to for me as a as an individual, as a homeowner, to be able to think about where to go for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you did it yourself because you were like, "I want this," and then you learned a lot, I guess, and now you help other people do it?
Yeah, yeah, it was just the kind of spark that, sent me into learning a lot of things on how to do it myself. And, once I learned it, then, I started getting better at it and I started working, from an investor side as well, and started growing a portfolio in property management. From there, just the people that I knew and I was working with, it seemed to be a good add-on service how to design an ADU and bring it into the project, bring it into the property. Most of what I've done is garage conversions, just the simplest, most pure form of an ADU, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so wait, I have to back up because you said so many good things in that. You said portfolio, so that tells me that you're not new to this, you've been doing it for a little while.
But it started with my own kind of project. I learned and I made a ton of mistakes on my own projects, thankfully. And then that experience gave me the confidence to be able to talk to people that, are looking for the same thing and couldn't do it on themselves. Yeah. But I
That's
do work
amazing.
for Windermere Signature Properties as a real estate agent and a property manager. So a professional portfolio did come and of course, the experience of knowing how to do ADUs was a big supplement and good added value.
Okay, awesome. Okay, um, so this is good because so you're actually a real estate agent as well, right?
And a
Okay.
certified California property manager too.
And a certified California property manager. We have some really amazing people who went through Planning
Yeah,
Academy.
I really liked. Our cohort brought in a lot of great ideas and great minds, and everybody I feel like connected very well in the class with the activities. And yeah.
Speaking of which, what made you want to do the Planning Academy?
So I've worked with, Planning Academy and the Building Academy in getting ADUs approved. And I figured anything, that they want us to know would be in that academy.
Mm,
So it was just a good idea. And Sacramento is a leader for this middle housing trend and all the things that could possibly come of it. So, I joined the Planning Academy more for the building side of what they taught, but they also taught a lot of great, things about small business and community services and everything. So it was more than I even went for, and it was just a great experience.
I felt the same way. I joined because I just like nerding out on YouTube, watching urban planning information. But to apply it to our city specifically was really cool. I am curious. You mentioned missing middle, and that is something that we learned about. Sacramento was one of the first cities in California to allow multi unit housing in every neighborhood. We're really working hard to get a lot of infill housing, so areas that are already kind of developed, helping to where can we find extra space and build more housing.
Hmm.
So, just curious about your perspective on missing middle housing and why it's important.
Yeah. Well, it's a good question. I was talking with my dad yesterday, who's more on the builder side of things too. But the housing density is one of I think our biggest resources to reducing some of the problems around supply and demand in housing. Both on a real estate trend and on a rental trend. That no one can argue that prices are sky high, that it's hard. We're in the busy season right now, so by the time I might have one rental with 8 applicants, and it's we do first come first serve. So a lot of people, especially that are balancing busy workloads, it's extremely hard to transition housing. And so having more options, I think, is the base of the solution. It's something that it's not really highly argued that if we build more, there's going to be more opportunity for people to find that housing, and it'll help the problem. The missing middle is utilizing those resources, the neighborhoods that have already been built and already have long-standing residents, and it's trying to increase the population density in those neighborhoods, sometimes with different tools. It can be things like ADUs, where we're not changing the look and the feel of the neighborhood. It can also be, adapting bigger townhomes, all the way up to awesome projects like courtyards and things. So, also as Sacramento builds out, these allowed ordinances also give us a lot of tools to develop in a new way that plans for the future and yeah, as well.
Yeah, yeah. And Sacramento really is building out a lot.
Every direction it feels like.
In every direction, right? It's becoming, almost a megalopolis. Pretty soon we're going to merge our borders with Stockton, and Stockton is merging with, almost San Jose and the rest of the Bay Area. We're going to become one like huge metro area, is what it
Mhm.
seems like.
So all the decisions being made around missing middle, I think will have a big impact on how that expansion looks
Mm,
and whose needs it meets.
yeah.
So I think it's coming at the perfect time. Should have been, of course, the only better time would have been 10 years ago, but it's good to see it happening, and I think it'll be very exciting over the next 10, 20 years as it continues to build out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So this makes me curious, beyond the policy issues and what does this mean for our region, you have actually built these, right? And you have seen a couple of different ones. I'm curious, what's a really memorable project for you that you worked on?
Uh, yeah, well, the most memorable is my own projects, which never seem to stop, right? And working on it with my dad, building me and my dad putting hammer and nail together on it was a good experience. Yeah.
Nice, yeah. The city of Sacramento has kind of like prepackaged plans, ADU plans.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
they were pretty early to that, service as well. So they have a great website that makes it really informative for homeowners to learn about ADUs and what the process looks like with those free plans. Important to note, a lot of cities are developing free plans and giving them, but they're not. So you can't use like San Jose's free plans here in Sacramento. You have to
oh,
be careful about that. But a lot of good ideas out there, and some of the bigger builders, they'll have like ADU open houses just sitting out there, and you can go and you can see, oh, if I have an alleyway space, this is what it could look like. So we've come a long ways in the ADU industry as well.
that is pretty exciting. I didn't know that about these ADU open houses. When I was a kid, one of my mom's favorite things to do was to go to new home build open houses.
Yeah.
And we, lived in a small apartment at the time, and it was, aspirational. It was window shopping. But to go and see an ADU, especially if you are a homeowner, it makes it real. Like, this is something that you could really build. This is within an affordable range. This is something that you could do that would add income for you as a homeowner, but also give a person a place to live, right?
Yeah, and I like all the different use cases for these ADUs. Some people are looking to downsize and they don't really want to leave, so they can build their own kind of nest to downsize to. and it opens up so many opportunities. I've got neighbors that are building them out of their garage, and they'll let the in-home care person like stay in the normal house. So it really is just planning for the next stages of life. It gives, so some people are building them for themselves or a family member, and yeah, we're seeing a lot of different uses out of them.
This is good. This is really good. Um I think there's so many great uses, but I also, of course, think about for myself. I remember I owned a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom in Sacramento, and it was just me. And I never went into two of the bedrooms.
Right.
And to the point where I had convinced myself that somebody was living in one of the like, somebody was living in one of those other rooms. I had to downsize. I didn't need all that space, you know?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is good. This is a really good conversation. Let me look at my notes real quick to see what other questions I wanted to ask you. Um, let's see. Oh, you know what? I did notice, I read that you're part of the Casita Coalition. Is that still? Can you tell us about the Casita Coalition?
So it's a coalition of professionals that work in the space that really get involved with housing policy. So gosh, I was just reading an email where they sat down with one of the proposers for a new bill, and they had some amendments that they wanted to propose, and the sort of stuff we did in Planning Academy, talking in a group, and then reaching out and trying to influence the bill, to meet how to make it that you would support it, that whole process. It's a group that does that, and
Okay.
it's a good way to stay very informed in what's being proposed and not, because the organizers there are great at making sure all the community members can come in, and then they schedule the agendas for all the meetings and things.
Nice. Okay, so the Casita Coalition is kind of an advocacy group for more flexible housing options.
For missing middle.
For missing middle, excellent. That's one thing that I also took away from Planning Academy was that there are so many different advocacy groups, not just in Sacramento, but probably in every city or region where people are. And so, if you want to get involved or want to learn more about these different things, sometimes the first place to start is an advocacy group because you can just meet really cool people and learn along the way,
Experts, yeah.
and experts.
I've definitely come into those meetings and said, "Hey, I'm having this issue with this department. They want me to do this. Does anyone know how to get past this? What options do I have?" And they've, there's always somebody in there that's seen your issue before and can help. As a professional working in the space, they have other professionals there.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so I have just two more questions for you. This is a question that I want to ask every one of my guests who comes on, and I love thinking about community development and neighborhoods and having a great place to live. So, in 6 words or less, what makes a place a great place to live, work, or play?
3 words: people and community.
Ooh, people and community.
All about who you're surrounded by. And I always tell real estate clients, you'll have a lot more fun if you live close to friends.
Mm, that is so true. Such wise words, Robert. Thank you so much for coming on this episode. Before we close out, where would you like people to connect with you? If maybe someone wants to have an ADU built, how can they reach out to you? Plug yourself.
Sure. So we have a website at capitalcustomadus.com. Go ahead and find us there, and you'll find my number on there, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much for just your time and for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, but stay on so we can chat a little bit longer.
Thank you.